You have to get up early in the morning, like us. Chances are you probably need your daily kick of caffeine to get you going.
I do know a few people that they don't do coffee, and I don't know how they do it.
Me either.
They take at least 3 cups. Turns out, though, your morning coffee can help your body in more ways than one. Our 90s medical expert joins us now to discuss this a little bit more about how a cup of joe can help prevent irritable bowel syndrome. Dr. Kohli, I don't think a lot of people were expecting me to say that this morning.
Yes, irritable bowel syndrome, Jordan, so common. It's actually a little bit of an anxiety reaction in our gut. So the nerves in our gut become hypersensitized. And estimates tell us that 5 to 10% of people will have this. So very, very common. And it can come and go during the course of your life. Certainly women get it more than men can. But it's one of those conditions where nothing's actually wrong with the structure, but it's just the function or the behavior of the gut that can be really sensitive. And you can imagine it can impair our lives, our self-esteem, our social interactions, our work.
Why do women get it more often than men?
So we think that it has something to do with the sex hormones, the estrogen and the progesterone, because they affect the way that our gut empties. Now think about our gut, it's a muscle, right? Because it's squeezing the food along. It's got holes in it to help absorb nutrients and such. So sex hormones can influence that. Certainly foods that we eat can influence how our IBS behaves or how it flares. But the gut-brain connection, the sensitivity of our gut, the receptors in our gut, how they react to our anxiety and stress, that's thought to be one of the biggest predictors, and women have that mechanism sort of a little bit less fine-tuned, so we react more.
But what is the link between coffee and IBS? Because I think a lot of people would assume this is pretty counterintuitive.
Yeah, well, it's always interesting. So there are a lot of conflicting studies. So what this study did is it put together a bunch of smaller studies. That's called a meta-analysis. It analyzed a bunch of studies together, and it found out that those people that drink coffee regularly, there's a 16% less risk of developing IBS.
All right, well, good news for us, Corey.
And it doesn't matter how much coffee you drink, so more or less or whatever. And the ones that have IBS, actually, some of them actually feel better when they drink more coffee.
So just 1 cup a day, you're saying, is like, it doesn't matter between your 1 cup and your 3 cups.
So potentially, but it's a little more complicated than that. So I want to put a little asterisk on it. So the first is that the majority of trials showed that coffee and IBS symptoms are better. But there are about 3 studies that actually showed that they get worse if you have an IBS where you have more diarrhea. Because think about what coffee does. It's a cathartic, right?
Yes.
It's a laxative. It helps you kind of move your bowels. And so for those individuals, potentially it could make it worse. But there's over 100 compounds in coffee that we drink, antioxidants, anti-inflammatories, antifibrotics, and polyphenols, all these healthy things that have so much effect on the bacteria that live in our gut that, to me, as a coffee drinker, I was very happy to see this.
Me too.
It really is so interesting because when you sent us the article for this yesterday, we were thinking that it said that it does the opposite for IBS, but it's not true because you would think they are counterintuitive with drinking coffee and IBS, but there it is.
But you know what we're learning is that we really need to personalize our food for our body and composition.
It's not a one-size-fits-all solution ever, ever.
Not at all. And so if you're a diarrhea-heavy IBS, maybe you do want to stay away from the coffee first thing in the morning. On the other hand, for those that have a lot of problems with gas and bloating, coffee can really help.
All I know is so many of my friends that do struggle with gut issues, they like to always say, look, hot girls have IBS. That's what happens, okay? And I would like to be a hot girl too, so maybe I'll dial back the coffee.
I don't know where to go from here. Okay.
I'm not sure they've studied that yet, Jordan, but we can look into it.
The American Medical Association is going to look into this, right, Dr. Kohli? All righty, that's so funny.
Thank you for coming in. Ed.